A very good morning to all of you, and welcome to the seventh episode of Elevate by Extramarks Education. I, Kusum Rao, will be your host for the webinar, and Elevate series has been organized to foster a platform for exchange of ideas by thought leaders, visionaries, mostly comprising of educationists, academicians, technocrats, young achievers, and other stakeholders. Extramarks and EdTech partner for more than 15,000 schools facilitates a global delivery model across various curricula. Education being the most evolving sector, Extramarks, as an EdTech leader, takes pride in rapidly reinventing the wheel numerous times. We strive to empower the teaching learning community with futuristic and scalable models and act as a catalyst in achieving academic excellence for students. In our attempt to connecting a lot of teachers and learning community together, today we will deep dive into the thoughts of dive into the transformative national education policy and its impact on curriculum design. Yes, that will be our topic for today, diving into the transformative national education policy and its impact on curriculum design. And before we start our nosedive, I will throw a little bit of light on NEP, National Education Policy, that was released in July 2020. This policy aims at developing individuals with emphasis on cognitive capacities, such as critical thinking, problem solving, and building social, emotional, and ethical abilities. The policy outlines the need for students to be digitally equipped in order to thrive in today's informative, intensive society. This policy has integrated Digital India campaign, which aims to transform India into a technologically powered nation into an education sector. Having said that, I, as your host, will take a stand as a parent to everything that we discussed today. I, in my layman language, as I would want to say it, I don't use technology just because it's a buzzword or a trend. I like to use it because I like to connect with my kids with the word that will prepare them for the world and for the future. With that, I will start introducing our esteemed panelists that we have today. So to begin with, we have Mr. Murugan. Murugan sir has been, allow me just a dynamic educator, a tribal to DPS principal at Wells Vidya, lauded CBSE principal, acclaimed motivational speaker, and award-winning CBSE principal, renowned for motivational excellence. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Kusum. Thank you very much.
You're more than welcome. Next, we have Dr. Anupma Srivastava, principal, St. Mary's Orthodox School, Kanpur, principal with 30 years of experience, recognized for science, education leadership, and global affiliations. Education veteran, principal known for mentoring award-winning students, and recipient of India Science Teacher National Award. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you.
Next, we have Dr. J. Sundar, principal at GTA Vidya Mandir, an accomplished educator with 2 decades of dedication and diverse qualifications. He strongly advocates fostering engaged classrooms and proactive social conscience in students. Welcome, sir.
Happy morning. Thank you. Thank you, Kusum.
Thank you. Next, we have Mr. Skand Bali, principal, the Hyderabad Public School, Begumpet, an educationist with extensive experience, transformative leadership, multiple prestigious awards, and advocacy in inclusive and value-driven education. He has been awarded with many accolades: Youngest Principal Award, Future 50 Leaders Shaping Success Award, and Top 50 Emerging Indian Icon Awards are a few to name for him. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Next, we have Lieutenant General Kulkarni, Director, Mayo College, Ajmer, an accomplished leader with 4 decades of service in Indian Army, now directing Mayo College, Ajmer since 2015. He has commissioned into the he was commissioned into the Armored Corps in 1975. In recognition of his special contribution, he has been awarded with the highest peacetime Distinguished Service Award in Armed Forces, the Param Vishisht Seva Medal by President of India. A very warm welcome, sir. Next, we have Saloni Arora, Assistant Vice President, Research and Quality Control, Extramarks Education. She leads the research and quality control in Extramarks Education, driving curriculum design, teaching support, quality assurance, and learning outcome monitoring. She has implemented research, collaborated cross-functionally, and ensured accountability for education quality as AVP, Extramarks Research Quality Control.
Thanks, Kusum, for the introduction.
You're more than welcome. For unavoidable reasons, Ms. Kanika Anand from Arise International School would not be joining. So that pretty much covers all our esteemed panelists this morning.
Hi.
So Poonam ma'am has also joined. Good morning, Poonam ma'am.
Yeah, good morning to you. Can you see me?
Yeah, we can see you.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Lovely to have all of you here. I can see all of you. I hope you solved the mystery to see me also.
Somehow I cannot see you, but a very warm welcome to Director, Extramarks Education, Ms. Poonam Singh Jangwal, who has always believed in inclusive, intuitive, and holistic ed tech learning solutions, tickling the young learner's curiosity with an immersive approach, measured outcomes, and supporting continued learning from school to home in dynamic scenarios has been her passion. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Please.
You are now visible to me as well. Thank you. Great. So with that amazing morning start, let's start off with our questions that I have in line for all of you. My first question goes out to Skand Bali, sir. How do you ensure your curriculum is aligned with clear and specific learning goals for each grade level or subject, sir?
See, it's very important to first of all have vertical and horizontal alignments in place, which means that the curriculum, what you are teaching in the grade, has to be aligned not only with a grade down and a grade up, but should also be aligned horizontally amongst various subjects at the same grade level. So we have subject-specific meetings amongst our faculty who sit and check where the curriculum is being driven and how we can incorporate various other parameters to make sure that we are on the same page as far as the learning and the growth is concerned. And secondly, we also keep a track as to what are the expectations from the council, because we are an ICSC and IC school as well as Cambridge, and what are the requirements of Cambridge. And now we are also trying to align it with the new education policy to see that, so the meeting is the key. The horizontal and the vertical meetings of our staff and faculty to see where we are and how we are paced. And that's how we take it forward.
Great. I am sorry, I understand Ms. Kanika Anand ma'am has also joined from Arise International School, Pune. I would quickly want to introduce her as well. Dynamic educator, ascending from teacher to principal roles across prestigious institutions, fostering effective communication, teamwork, and student-focused education. She's passionate about driving multiple programs and school objectives that aim towards student success. Welcome, ma'am. Okay, somehow she's not even audible. Can we have someone connect with her, please, from Extramarks, because she's not visible or audible. Kanika, ma'am. Okay, we have coordination happening in the meanwhile. Thank you so much, sir, for addressing the first question there. The next question I would want to give to Kulkarni, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
General, can you explain how your curriculum design incorporates national or state standards and framework to ensure learning outcomes?
Yes, to begin with, till the new national curriculum framework is formally established, we have been following the NCF of 2005, but we also have been imparting holistic education in our school. We are a residential school. So it incorporates, the curriculum itself incorporates not mere academics, but co-curriculars, sports and other character building, etc. And therefore, the benchmarking is done against international organizations. Even if we, like, for example, we are not part of PISA, for example, but we benchmark ourselves against standards laid down by PISA and such organizations. Cambridge, we have this curriculum. They also have benchmarking at different points in time. And therefore, and with the NEP itself, and I'm happy to say that because we've been following this holistic model for long, that we were aligned with the NEP when it was kind of issued. So therefore, and as Dr. Bali said correctly, that you have to map this curriculum horizontally and vertically. And you also got to have a spiral look at the curriculum, because certain subjects taught in a junior class may recur, that concept may recur 2 years, 3 years down the line again. And if the foundation is weak, this will again be a problem. So this learning outcome at each stage needs two things. We normally focus on assessments, but what is more important is to focus on the assimilation. And therefore, for assimilation, we have generated rubrics in the school to comprehend, because in any given class, all the students, even if they're age specific, will not have the same growth path, the same progress. And therefore, it's very important that assessment is backed by assimilation, and assimilation runs ahead of assessment, so that by the time the assessment is done, no point diagnosing that this kid is falling behind. It's too late. So that's the basic approach we are taking to make sure that we are aligned and our curriculum design is up to date.
Beautifully put together. So I love the way you mentioned the spiral look at the curriculum and the focus on everything to build stronger foundations. Poonam ma'am, would you want to add something there?
No, I think the general really put across a very fundamental point, that foundational knowledge is very critical, and then curriculum is ultimately the implementation of the school leader. You might get frameworks, but end of the day, how you implement is your vision for your school. And to me, what is the goal post for all our work in the school is something we have to introspect on. Have the goalposts changed now as the world has changed?
Great. Thank you so much for the insight there, ma'am. I am moving towards the next question now, which I would want to give to Murugan sir. How do you approach the sequencing and progression of learning experience across grades, levels to support skill development?
Thank you, Kusum. We treat our school just like an aircraft. Like, we plan everything well in advance. Like, we decided to implement a program or any other things we have planned to change. Even before the school begins, we plan it everything. That either it is a skill we would like to introduce, or any new subject we would like to introduce, or any other events even what we want to conduct, we plan it. The planning is done not just by the
the management or the teachers or, only a particular stakeholders. We do involve the students and some parents as well. If you want to introduce skill, we have a complete check whether we have a resources, either the manpower or material. Once everything is arranged and we implement. Like if an aircraft wants to take off, it has to be checked before it starts flying. After it, once it flies, we cannot decide what we have done, it is correct or not. If you want to reach a goal, you plan it in accordingly and implement it. We make sure we take the teachers into confidence that they are aware of what they are going to implement and they are clear how they are going to implement. So this is how we do seminar school. And great, so far we haven't come across any glitches. Yes, here and there is some recourse to be done, we do it, but that will not be major. So incorporating everybody, involving everybody helps us to reach the goal.
Great, thank you.
The NEP says that inclusive and equitable education to all by 2030. I'm very happy to say that we did admit many children who need special care even 20 years before, because we are 37 years for school, but we have started this process even 20 years before. We are having all the special children. So I'm very happy when NEP highlighted this inclusive policy. We felt happy as we are already a pioneer in this area. And we are doing it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Murugan sir. My next question will be changing all the theory that we have been discussing about now to a practical example. The question goes to Anupma ma'am. Can you help us with one example how you would foster interdisciplinary connections and integrate subjects within your curriculum?
It's a very nice question and very close to my heart because I am very much engrossed in one major activity and major integrated part of the new education policy, that is STEM based. So I ensure along with my team that an interdisciplinary approach is very much required. And here I believe in the STEM, that is integration of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. To follow this, to implement this, I believe in 6 strategies. I have asked my teachers to go through these ones. Number one, for any STEM project, define the goals and objectives. Second, integrate the content and methods. Then use project-based designs, project-based learning. So PBL or project-based learning is very, very important, and it helps a lot in developing all skills of the students. And here I give the liberty to the students to choice, and I prefer for the voice also. In the entire process of doing this, a lot of support is given by the teachers in terms of whether a resource is to be provided and any guidance is required by the students. The teacher must be always there with them. From time to time during the process of PBL, project-based learning, the feedback is given to the students so that wherever they have to improve, that improvement can be done, and collaborate with other teachers also. So there is a joint venture of inclusion of all the 5 domains. Here I would like to just take an example of one example. In the students of IIT Guwahati, recently they have developed a simple paper kit. And this simple paper kit is actually to find out the freshness of the milk. Usually we find that the milk is spoiled after some time, to test whether the milk which is provided to us, that is pasteurized properly or not. That kit has been designed. It's a very simple kit. And this kit contains actually, this app which is designed, that is installed in the smartphone. Here technology is included. And it ensures that milk is consumed before it turns sour. So how the process is done? Actually, the milk contains an enzyme which is called ALP. Here comes the chemistry, biochemistry. And this is indicator of the quality of the milk. If the milk is pure, then ALP will be in a different way. And if milk is impure or if it is contaminated, it is going to be sour because of the growth of the bacteria. Again, here microbiology comes, right? Then here a filter paper was taken by the students and it was impregnated with chemical probes. And these chemical probes which are present now in the filter paper, they bind with the ALP. ALP is the enzyme which is present in the milk. Whenever ALP comes and binds with the probe, the color of the paper changes, and this color detection is easily detected by a camera on the app which is present in the mobile, which is already installed there on the mobile. So this way there is a color change, that is art is also included here. Then technology is camera, right? And the microbiology portion or the science portion is the microorganisms and their activities. So as soon as the color detection is there, one is able to find out that what is happening, the milk is pure or not pure. Then the color, how much is the color change, that is actually compared with the app. In app the various colors are given. What is the level of the contamination or what is the level of the change, that is with the help of the mathematical formula, this can be easily found out that what is the level of the impurity of the milk, or if it is properly pasteurized or not pasteurized. So this way we see that science, technology, engineering, arts and mathematics, they all are integrated together, right? So this helps a lot. This PBL, this project-based learning, if we give to the students, there are 5 skills of the students developed. That is creative thinking, 5 C's. That is creative thinking, then critical thinking, and creativity is there, collaboration, that the students work together, communication, and curiosity. This was one simple example which I have taken from the IIT Guwahati. And when these things are developed in our integrated in our curriculum, our children can do the wonders. They can also go through the innovative processes, and they learn how to integrate all the 5 subjects, these 5 streams. Another example of this is the worldly art. This worldly art is actually art which belongs to the tribes of Maharashtra. And if you see the worldly art, it is a pictorial presentation, that is an art presentation of human figures which are depicted by circles, triangles, lines, and squares. The circle here represents the sun and moon. Then triangles, they represent the conical trees. The lines and squares, they represent the division of the land. So if a child is given to, if the group of the children, they are given this project to write a project on the worldly art. The children will go through many subjects, that is history, then geography also, that to which area, and at the same time the mathematics, that is about the triangles, congruent triangles, simple triangles, what is the concept of this, and at the same time the art is already there. So this way we find that there is an integration which students work together, and so many skills. These 5 C's are inculcated, which is the basic of the STEM teaching and learning.
Great. That's beautifully put together, ma'am. The way you've put together the examples for project-based learning and the way the subjects and the interdisciplinary approach you talked about is pretty detailed. And all through and through, as I said, I will take a parent stand always. I kept thinking that a worldly art that is being taught in such detail, touching all subjects in class, if by chance my child misses out on that particular class, how do we replicate this kind of a beautiful class that is so much in detail and so interesting to go through? And that is what I could patch in the fact that scalable technology would give it an option of maybe playing it over and over again, fast forwarding and repeating it before a class actually begins, starts, or even right before the exam. I have my options to play, pause, and rewind. Thank you so much, Anupma ma'am. That was beautiful as two major examples. I was not aware of early art in such detail for which geometrical design stands for which particular item in the nature. If we have things to add, more than welcome for everyone to add an example to the same.
So yes, Kusum, I would like to join here. So ma'am, what we are doing is we are giving them an environment, we are giving them experiential learning where they are integrating disciplines and then learning and delivering outcomes. But it becomes important for us to measure these outcomes, record these outcomes, to understand the learning journey of a student, because these have to be defined throughout the journey wherein we understand the, I would say, the good things that the student learned or did, or there were certain weak points where we had to intervene, there were certain interventions required. So yes, we are on a very wonderful path where we are giving this project-based learning and where we are giving them experiential learning. But now with NEP, it has become very important for us to record these outcomes. All the 5 C's we need in a record. So communication, collaboration, although it sounds very difficult to record and keep a record of all these outcomes, but then the learning journey, defining a learning journey wherein we need to talk about these parameters of the learning journey. We need to define certain metrics and then have certain ratings on what all a student learned through these activities, because we have all kinds of learners. We have auditory learners, we have visual learners, we have kinesthetic learners. So it is quite possible that the outcomes by the same modality of teaching are not achieved for all kinds of students.
That pretty much touches our next question, Saloni. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for that
Yeah.
insight. And my next question goes out to Dr. Sundar. How do you address the diverse needs of students in your curriculum, especially considering the different learning styles and abilities that you find in class?
Thank you so much. See, when we talk about the diverse need of students in our curriculum, yes, in our school, we have different ways of learning parameters being followed. So when we regroup all these things, so we have a different source of which the earlier speakers spoke. So they have a project-based learning and incorporate EdTech and adaptive learning tools to be measuring onto it. And we have put them in a small group, and we have a learning stations where these people are forming and interactive with their own peer mates, because the thought process for them when they interact with the teacher might be different. When they talk with their own peer mates will be different. So we wanted to have a collaborative learning so that the diversification, as rightly said by Mrs. Arora ma'am, that you have different learners put together in one classroom itself. Forget about the school. We have one classroom taken with 30, 40 students. We have different learners. So for visual learners, we make sure that it is being done through graph and pictures. For auditories, we do it by audiobooks and lectures and music. we have a wonderful program with integrated art, music, as well as with the program for grade 1 to 8, especially because we have these learners to be caught at the right age itself, rather than catching them at 9, 10, 11, 12. So it's always good we catch them at young age, and we have a motivation level for them. So these kind of programs will always don't give them a mark or only tag them in the report card process. And we have a showcase practice at our school where each and every week these kind of an activities, not only on project is being displayed, they come forward in the class, and they do a showcase with the small group. So 3 to 4 students, they come forward, and the inhibition of their fear thought process of not speaking properly, I can able to concentrate on the communication part, on the creativity part, what NEP is trying to emphasize more on that. So those kind of things will be incorporated into it. And when we go for a little higher classes, so intuitive learners will be there. So we try to give them open-ended questions. And there will be a non-verbal learners. See, these days after this pandemic, people have gone back to the shell. They don't want to open up. They don't want to speak. So they are very happy hiding behind the cameras, and they don't want to come up and expose their skills. So we have those kind of non-verbal learners. So we do it in different activities like drama. So somewhere the learning is happening. So this diversification is nullified at not only at the top level. We try to focus from the ground root level. This diversification is addressed, and of course with the unification of all the teachers, it has to be done. I can't earmark it should be done by math, or it should be done by only by the science teacher. It is a teamwork where even an art and craft teacher also has a vital role. That's what NEP focuses and emphasizes on, that art and education is not separate. It goes hand in hand. I can see art integrated learning through English. I can see art integrated learning through science, social. So gone those days where we can give one class for art and craft. So it's all integrated, and I believe that learning process will make a change in the younger generation in the mind right now.
The other day, I got an example of teaching SST with the help of art integration, wherein they taught French Revolution through art integration. I mean, French Revolution is a wonderful example wherein they taught students, and with the explanations they gave, I think the outcomes were not visible. So what they did was they gave them a drawing of immediate cause of French Revolution, impacts of French Revolution, and aftermaths, and then what happened during the events during the French Revolution. And this is how they beautifully made students learn through art integration. The activity was wonderful, which I came across, and I think these integrated learning activities will make outcomes visible to students. Instead of rote learning, they enjoyed learning SST. It was the first time the students in that class enjoyed learning history from their teacher because of this drawing activity introduced there. So yeah, we can always make these activities a part of learning, wherein the students start enjoying the subjects instead of rote learning. That is the one thing that is emphasized most through NEP.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Kusum, can I?
Yes, please feel free to add in.
I'm very good. Dr. Sundar as well as Arora has brought it. It's not only the students' benefit, even the teachers' benefit. That's the beauty of this. You know, we talk only the students, we assess students. It also helps the teachers to contribute, assess themselves. As Mrs. Arora was saying about French Revolution. My art teacher, when he did it, it's the first time the children have seen the leather puppetry. They haven't seen. Puppetry means they have seen only, the dolls, all those things. But our art teacher brought the concept of leather puppetry, which was practiced in Andhra Pradesh. Even, when I was a small boy, I have seen that. But my kids have not seen. My art teacher brought and showed that leather puppetry. Our children were amazed. They said, yeah, was it here in Tamil Nadu? They said, yeah, it was there. So when you bring art, art into your curriculum or your subject, whatever the subject, children learn a lot in a diverse field. They learn culture, they learn history, And the beauty is, even our own teachers, they were not aware of it because they are not young people. They haven't seen it. So when you bring the variety in the subject, it's not only the students learn, teachers learn. And only one thing which I would like to insist here is, in our school, when we introduce this, we do also have a different assessment tools. As Dr. Sundar has said, we assess the child according to his or her taste. As Mrs. Arora said, that we have got a, different learning capabilities, children with various, capability to learn. We say if a child is auditory learner, as Mr. Sundar said, we tell the teachers to assess the child based on that. That's how we came to know what child is. We didn't conclude. We brought all his portfolio and showed to the counselor, and she found out that this child needs this. So it is not only helping the students when you bring art integration in the subject, it helps the teacher as well as it helps even the parents to identify where the child is. It made us very easy to talk with the parents, see what child needs help. If I say directly to my parents that your child needs help because he is having some disability, the parents will start questioning this. No, my child is perfectly all right, because they are not ready to accept it. But when I took this portfolio, the file, I showed to the parent, see, my child is too good in art, but he's not able to express in writing. So he has got something. And we brought a counselor to counsel them. Then they accepted. Now we are training the child. So NEP has done a good job of integrating everything and making everybody to benefit. Thank you, Sundar and Arora. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Murugan sir. I've had the pleasure of visiting the Hyderabad Public School, and Skand sir, it has always been a pleasure to see your the younger classrooms, the little ones, how they light up when the teachers pick up a topic and it's pulled out like a theme through and through. Would you want to throw some light on how you've picked up the different learning styles and abilities to be considered while you're addressing the diverse needs of students at Hyderabad Public School?
So, see, we are a very inclusive school. We have children from various economic backgrounds, various social strata. We also have children with different needs, special needs, etc. So that needs to be handled with care. So professional development is a very important key, wherein our staff goes through a very structured and a well thought of professional training program throughout the year. And we also have a system called the peer learning, which I'm sure a lot of good schools in the country must be following as well, where children are divided into smaller groups where they help each other in terms of their learning and so on and so forth. The teachers have to be on top of things here, especially dealing with younger kids, because a child who gets some kind of impressions in his or her thought process at early years, which are not good for their personal and professional growth, can leave a mark with them for the rest of their life. So it's very important for faculty to deal with that. So we also have activity-based learning in the classrooms. Teachers are aware, they have been groomed, handheld, and trained, if I may use that word, to identify children who need that kind of a specialist attention without compromising their self-esteem. So these are some of the parameters by which we do. And I must tell you that students themselves are so empathetic in nature that they take care of their friends as well. When they have some issue or some kind of a learning difficulty or learning gap and so on and so forth. So sometimes we underestimate children by saying that school has to do everything. But a lot many times children teach us how to deal with such situations as well. Yeah. But you're right. The classrooms in early years and younger years in the primary are extremely vibrant and bright with the smiles and happiness all around.
They actually light up with all the drawings and the creative work that they do, and I've seen it personally. Yeah. Great. So Now, moving to the part, now we have thrown quite a bit of light on how things are to be executed, the teaching delivery part of it, to inculcate NEP and be compatible to it in different ways of molding the curriculum and the pedagogy to help. So, Kulkarni sir, I would want to ask you on the types of assessments that you use to measure all the learning that happens from the teaching delivery, the mastery of knowledge and skill alignment with the learning goals. How do you go about it at Mayo College?
Uh, Ma'am, firstly, this is something which has to be done on the trust of each teacher. If you impose a standardized system, then this system can be played because the teacher also feels they are being assessed. So there is a risk that the teacher will overrate and overgrade the students, and you only come to know once the actual tests or exams happen, by which time it's too late and that period is lost, valuable time is lost. So we have a system where after every lesson, a teacher has to rate a child on 4 levels, and to make it easy, we've kept a easy color code for them. The lowest level is say at red, then yellow and blue, and then the fast learners and sharp kids are at green. The idea is to bring everybody up to blue. You cannot put everybody into green, but you have to bring them to blue. So this is an honest assessment by a teacher for the teacher only. It is not to be seen by the head of department, coordinators, the respective headmasters in their schools. No, because otherwise it will be played out. No teacher would like to show that bulk of a class is in a weak position. That's the first level. Now, if this is done honestly, then you know that you can then give targeted interventions to the slower children. So you can, while conducting, as Dr. Bali was also saying, you've got to break them up into their capacity levels. And the brightest kids need to be given challenging work, and the less bright kids need to be given personalized attention and dedicated. And all this has to happen within the academic time, because there are many other things happening after academic time in a boarding school, right? So that is the first part. The second part is that we've laid down rubrics which are driven around concepts, age-specific concepts. And therefore, even if a child is running behind for some reason, we arrange for additional coaching for such children, the few of them who need it, so that they are brought up to that minimum acceptable level. Because the amount of time, see, there's no scope to send people for private tuition and all in a boarding school. So everything has to happen within those cycles. And then because of the nature of things, Mr. Bali's also been in a boarding school, he understands co-curricular activities, hobbies, games, all these are of equal importance, can't be neglected. So the actual so-called prep time or study time is only so much. And therefore, to maximize that, it is very important that you have rubrics laid down. And these are very often even self-assessment rubrics. A kid, let's say you give him a quiz today, you get 5 out of 10. Give the same quiz after 3 months. If the teacher has done the right intervention, he should get 7 or 8 out of 10. So there is a self-assessment. Firstly, there is monitoring, then there is self-assessment, then teacher-driven assessment as well. Then we also take student feedback about the teachers, which is highly confidential, because we don't want this again to be played out. So we come to know, let's say you got 3 or 4 sections of the same class. You can get good feedback about the teacher, different teachers teaching the same subject, as to who are more engaging in the class. It's not who got more knowledge, they all have the knowledge, but who's more engaging in the class, in whose class are the kids more attentive, whose class they go to enjoy, they look forward to that next session. So there are a variety of things, but at the end of the day, there are these rubrics which are measured and put in. And most importantly, in the last few years, we are still to reach the level that I want, but we started maintaining a digital record of every activity that happens. So that over a period of time, you can see a digital profile. If you find in class 9, a kid is having difficulty in, say, concepts related to multiplication, division and all, you can actually go back and revisit in grade 4, where we start from, or grade 5, and see, was this boy facing problems with addition, subtraction, multiplication, division? And if so, it's a serious problem, because why was it allowed to fester for so long? So at multiple levels, this has to be done. We are also fortunate we only have limited number of students. So this highly personalized thing is possible. It may not be possible where you have 60 boys in a class or 60 children in a class and or 7,000 kids in a school. It may be more challenging. But for us, we find it's possible. All that it requires is the commitment of the teachers to do this in an honest manner.
Sir, I do have a question from you.
Yeah.
Suppose you are leveraging, say, technology to do the self-learning part of it, and you're exposing the, giving more time to your teachers to give personalized learning. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Right? So,
I can hear you.
Yeah. Would you like to introduce a 360-degree appraisal of a classroom by giving the right to the child to vote? The way you said, some teachers are very interesting and some are not. You informally find out. But can there be a formal system that kind of drives the teacher to up her quotient in the classroom?
Yes.
Because you might have a very good standards and frameworks, but ultimately the execution of it is at the class level. And for us also to take a dipstick whether that framework is actually bringing the results or not. So one is a straightforward way of taking the assignments and looking at the learning gaps and seeing how the interventions happen. But the engagement level of a child can be, you can have a kind of a voting system saying what was the most interesting class, or that kind of feedback which can actually take you to your goal of where you want to take your curriculum.
I vehemently disagree with you. Moment you do 360.
So this was more of
carrying out, as I said, it has to be done informally, confidentially. Yes. The moment you have an open 360-degree system, it will be played. Teachers will be tempted to go in for cheap popularity, and this is the worst thing that can possibly happen. It has been tried out. Even we have a performance appraisal system for our teachers as well, right? In that, we push in even the inputs that we receive from students and all into that. But it is done informally, it's done confidentially. It cannot be done in an open way, because I can promise you this, you try it in Extramarks and you watch what happens. So please understand what I'm saying.
No, this question I put up to you.
Please listen carefully to this. I've heard this 360-degree story so many times in many places, in many educational forums. Please understand, this is a gimmick. Please understand.
Absolutely. I wanted to hear.
30 years of experience of leadership in the army, and I was dealing with some of this in some positions of mine in the army. It is first step to the dilution of academic and integrity, ethics, and honesty.
Absolutely.
And I spoke about this in Jaipur last week. You heard me
speaking about it. I wanted you to articulate this.
May I come in?
Because in
a
lot of principal rooms, I hear this. Lot of principal rooms, I hear this. I wanted you to articulate your point of view, because it is very, very critical for us to respect the integrity of the teachers. So that's why I put the question. Yes.
I would like to come in here, Ms. Jamal. I completely agree with General Kulkarni on this. First of all, there is no appraisal system in the world which can capture what a teacher of a public school or a genuine educational institution is doing in the class or in the environment. For example, in the kind of schools I have worked with and the kind of school I'm working in, teachers contribute so much outside the classroom while even walking across the corridor, talking to a child for 5 minutes. It never gets captured in the appraisals. So one mistake which most of the educational institutions have done over the years is they have just picked up any random appraisal system which is meant for the industry, brought into the education system. I have seen some of the schools even go with the targets. What will be your target result next year? What will be your target result year after? Have you achieved those targets or not targets? And this jargon of 360 appraisal is also one of the fashion statement in the world of today. And I'm not as experienced as General Kulkarni. I have only 25 years of experience in education. But myself being a teacher for a long time and a principal and an educator, I think 360, absolute no. Even the appraisal system for the schools need to be reformed. And unfortunately, no HR group or agency or a company has come up with a foolproof appraisal system for educators. I just wanted to share that with you all.
The reason I put it forth was, as we are going into the new world, I wanted the wisdom to come through. So blindly following the new world is not the norm. And that is why I wanted to hear these voices in this forum. When we get so enamored with the new world, we don't leverage the wisdom. And I want that woven in, that as we use new technology to do the repetitive self-learning parts of it, but when it comes to the wisdom of the teachers, that is what will shape and implement good curriculums in the school. So thank you, General, and thank you, Sikand. Very, very important input.
Sure, Murugan, sir, please do.
Mr. Bali as well as our general, they made it very clear. I was very happy when Mr. Bali was saying about the teachers contributing much, rather much more outside than in the classroom. Yes, it's correct, sir. You're right. Only thing is that, as you have rightly pointed out, that we need an assessment of a teacher, not just what she contributed inside the class. So I feel Mrs. Jamwal wanted to mean that 360-degree assessment of a teacher means something outside also. I feel that's what she wanted to say, but that's like General has said, that the word 360 degree assessment is little too much. But definitely we have to take the teacher into confidence, and her contribution or his contribution outside the classroom is more important than inside the classroom. Inside the classroom, just they deliver the concept which they want to deliver in a prepared way. But when she or he is outside the corridor, talks with the children pick a lot, much more than what they picked inside the class. So definitely, when we take an assessment of a teacher, we should take care of their contribution outside the class. Thank you.
Kusum, may I just make one more point, please?
Of course, sir.
Yeah. See, we are in the education, we are in the people business. Children, teachers, parents, families, society. We are in the people business, right? People are not machines.
General, sorry to interrupt you, General. Are we in business or are we in people service?
No, we are in the people business. Please understand. You are crafting a child to be relevant to society tomorrow. All right. When I don't look at business only in economic terms. We are in the business of crafting this child for the future, right? So whether we are in this people thing, right? You call it business, service, whatever. It's okay. I have no quarrel with that. But the important thing is you've got to leverage technology for analytics. And that is why I'm saying building up data points is important. Today, as I said in my school, I don't have enough data points to really do big data analytics. But it is a matter of time. In 2 to 3 years, we will have enough data points and a range of data points, which will allow big data analytics to allow interventions to happen before their time. In the past few years, they have been happening by intuition. We introduced devices for every student in 2016. It was considered to be heretic, even in my own management, because they said all they will do is watch the wrong things. But I said the time of technology has come. 4 years ago, we sown the seeds of our AI lab, which is now up and running. Last few months, people are talking Chat GPT. My point is, these are trends that were coming. They were not some genius idea from our side, but people are watching. Before, when the pandemic came, our school voluntarily went into quarantine on 4th of March, and everybody was home by 21st. Prime Minister announced lockdown on 22nd. My point is, it was evident that by December of the previous year, this pandemic was coming. The point I'm trying to make is everybody, and I go to so many educational conferences, everybody slaps themselves on the back and say, came the pandemic and our teachers are so resilient and they recovered so fast. And why do we each time react? Why don't we anticipate? My appeal to the education fraternity is this: for God's sake, you're preparing kids for the future. And future is all about anticipation. Sometimes the anticipation can go wrong. The guy who set up YouTube said not more than 1 lakh videos will ever be posted on the channel. We do that within 1 hour every day. So fine, it can go wrong, but some anticipation has to happen. We cannot keep thriving on this reactionary adjustment basis. Thank you.
Very well articulated, I would say. Very well articulated. Yeah. So
Here,
that
can
was-
I add? Here, I'm sorry. Can I add one thing?
Dr. Anupma, ma'am, please go ahead.
Lieutenant General Kulkarni, yes, I agree with you that there are differences in the teachers' teaching styles. And we face these things as a principle that, ma'am, I want to be taught by, we don't have this teacher. Mr. A is not teaching in our section, and in the other section, Mr. B is there. So the students are very good in section B. They are able to understand chemistry, physics, or mathematics well, but we are not having the same teacher here. We want to have the teaching from that teacher. So in that case, what I am doing here, I have started taking the cluster meetings. In cluster meetings, the department teachers, they gather, and there is a peer group learning, peer learning. And in peer learning, we give the topic. The teachers decide that we will take up this topic today. And every teacher comes and gives some inputs over there. Then whatever are the best, these all are adopted. So they all go similar. This I have asked them that please be similar in your teaching so that the students of two sections, they do not compare. And they do not come to me that, ma'am, I want this teacher. I want that teacher. And at the same time, we arrange for the remedial classes, or the, you can say that concept building classes also after school, 1 hour, half an hour, according to the school timings. And weather also, in winters we can't keep for a longer time, in summers we can keep for longer time, and with the consent of the parents, we stop the children, they stay back, and the teacher who is having a better command on this particular topic, children from both the sections, 3 sections, they come together, and that teacher is given that particular topic, because every teacher has got more competency in one of the other topics, right? So therefore, this way the needs of the students are also fulfilled, and they are happy and satisfied at the end. And the teachers also learn from each other. So peer learning, not only of the students, but of the teachers also. This is a demand of today for enhancing the teaching skills of the teachers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Anupama, ma'am. Dr. Sundar, sir, you had also raised your hand and you wanted to add a point. Please go ahead. And the discussion is getting interesting now. Please go ahead and add your point.
yeah.
Thank you. I was immersed in all the conversations with the great generals and Bali sir and Sakthivel, all the panelists who have been sharing it. So I was waiting for my chance to share onto it. Only one point I would like to say. We are not in a corporate world. Education sector is different. Corporate sector is different. So we try to tend ourselves move into a corporate end of assumptions of doing this appraisal 360 degrees, 180 degrees. We started with the question of assessment pattern for students. So we landed up ending up discussion with for the teachers appraisal point here. The best appraisal point, what can happen at this given junction is the upliftment of the student's career, how the student put himself or herself in the society. That will be the greatest reward what a teacher will get when he or she sees the student outside, charming himself or herself in the society, coming up grateful in their society. So that will be the greatest assessment. As all the educationists are very senior, 25, 30 years of experience, when they see their own kids coming up and taking up great positions and remembering the values and ethics, what NEP is trying to inculcate on that, I believe that that will make this 360 degrees appraisal into a submitting form on the whole. Thank you.
Thank you, Sundar, sir. That was a lovely point made there. I do have a quick question for Ms. Saloni Arora.
Yeah.
Now that we've established the fact that curriculum will keep changing, will keep evolving, and the learning goals automatically will be dynamic once things keep moving back and forth. How do you keep your curriculum up to date and the goals the changing goals and education needs in line?
See, Kusum, when we see, there are three topics, three things that we are touching. We are touching curriculum, we are touching ways of teaching, wherein teachers are integral part, and assimilation of technology, wherein we can say that blended is the way forward. We should have flipped classrooms, wherein we are integrating in technology for the benefits of students and teachers both. So curriculum since beginning, if we talk about so the changes that came in 2007 and further, so I would say that the changes that are coming are focusing on the learning needs and focusing on the outcomes. So if I say 21st century skills are new as an outcome, after NEP, I would say that these 21st century skills were natural outcome of teaching when we were going to school. Over the decades, over the ages, this has actually not transformed but evolved. Yeah. So if I go back to my school days, wherein I was taught how to count pulse after we were made to run in our school playground for, I mean, say twice we had to run that ground. And everyone came up with different assumptions like it was 144, oh, it was 172. I mean, not knowing the actual number. So the experiential learning was there at that time as well. So evolving of education is, yes, something that is happening. We are more aligned towards learning goals, but then if we talk about changes in education or curriculum, minor changes, major learning outcomes, rote learning, say you have skilled students, you have competences developed in these students, the assessments that we are designing these days, Bloom's taxonomy, if we talk about the progression, if we talk about the assessments that we are making for measuring the outcomes. Say if I have to measure a small outcome, my student does not know how to compare. So if we talk about vertical planning of our curriculum, so if my student does not know how to compare, how will the student interpret in the senior classes? So this is something I think teachers and technology can do always in a better manner. Both of them together can achieve these wonderful outcomes and measure and keep a record. Then if I talk about identification, my student does not know how to identify. So this is about foundational stages wherein we have FLN, where we say that something, say, now you might be having certain students in senior classes who are good at reading and who are not good at reading, those who can comprehend better, analyze the passage better, but then they do not, there are certain students who just look for the keywords and answer that passage. So there is a statement that came out of NEP, learn to read so that you can read to learn. So there are many things that a teacher has been taking care of. It's not that it has changed altogether. Comprehension is an integral part of learning. We have comprehension passages, but now it is more defined, I would say, with all the skills. See whether the student was able to analyze small skills, whether the student was able to observe, whether the student was able to highlight. So these small skills are making skills more important in today's curriculum, wherein the outcomes of for these skills have even become important. Yes, we have always been preparing skilled students, and these skills and competencies, say if I want to have global awareness as a competency, as an outcome in my curriculum, so this was there in beginning as well. This is there in education over decades. Global awareness, we were all told to keep ourselves clued up, we were all always clued up, but now this global awareness through our assessments, where the questions, we actually are creating questions, the educationists are creating questions in the assessments, where the questions are aligned to these skills, wherein we can map all these skills through our assessments. So this is the change I have observed over the years, and we will have to evolve with the changing patterns. International standards, yes, India is doing a lot, we have all done a lot, and it was, I think, a great pleasure listening you all, wherein you all have done a lot in your field. You have all achieved through that. And I mean, you have all given wonderful students and wonderful professionals to our nation. So this is what we all will have to continue: adaptation, learning attitude, and staying clued up with what all is latest in technology, in education, in curriculum, or anything in science that a student needs, anything in commerce that a student needs. This is something that we will all have to keep in mind. And I think most of the teaching fraternity has always kept them updated with all what is latest. And yes, technology has even taken care of the same thing throughout the years. And it's been high time that we do not exist separate now. We exist in a blended platform wherein the student and teacher benefits from both. I would like your views on this now, like how the blended platforms, the changed platforms in our schools are adding to the delivery and the outcomes that the students are is achieving in the class, or the students are achieving in the class.
Thank you so much, Saloni, for answering that. And since we've touched the topic of blended learning, I know we can talk on it for much longer, but we
Yeah.
are a little hard pressed on time now. And I promised you that we would make it a wrap in the next 10 minutes max. I am
Yeah.
going to open the last question for Ms. Poonam Singh Jamwal.
Yes, tell me.
Sure. The strategies that you employ to ensure students receive differentiated support based on their individual learning needs. How would you want to throw some light on that, ma'am?
See, I really feel I have 2 points of views wherein NEP is concerned and where EdTech is today, right? In terms of NEP is nothing but best practices put together in a comprehensive, in very clear, directive manner, the way we have directives and fundamental rights. Like that, NEP provides us a framework of best practices that worked in the schools, and to be able to make it common to every school to ensure quality education. What was so special when your syllabus was same in the board across the schools, yet one school was different from another? Because the curriculum set by the heads of the schools was unique to them. And they decided that what more they want to add to developing, how responsive they were to the environment. They made the syllabus responsive to the environment. That is why their best practices were unique to the outcomes that were coming out. I think today is a true convergence that is happening of the best practices and the open-mindedness in all the institutions to implement new ideas to take us to, a better, well-rounded citizen. They are open to using technology to introduce self-learning. It is so heartening to see that everybody, all the education leaders that I meet, like General Kulkarni, Skand, everybody on the forum, I keep hearing them that how they are leading the way into adoption of new tools and new curriculums. And more than that, how they bring their unique twist for better outcomes. So my last conclusive input would be there is a convergence of classroom, technology, and outside environment. There is convergence of international curriculum and our Indian curriculum, and everybody has started speaking to each other because technology has made it a global village. And there is a huge kind of conversations the way we are having here that they are having, and they're bringing the best practices in. My only input that is there for all the wisdom is somewhere we need to have a fearlessness that any edtech partner is a partner towards your outcome. And there has to be 100% adoption to empower the teachers and students towards the outcome you want to take them to. If you do not take the mundane out of their life, they will not be able to implement all the wonderful ideas you were talking. Everybody was talking about, man was talking about STEM, and sir was talking about different adaptive ways of testing, and leaving the subjective part or a character building part to the teachers. But all that needs to be done if we make time, have better measurable outcomes, and also change the goalpost. Perhaps today reproduction of everything we learned is not the outcome. Outcome is to create problem solvers. So have we changed the outcomes? Basis that, are we leveraging technology? And then we are letting the teachers actually shape that young child into being a citizen. So it is so wonderful. As I was soaking in everything everybody was saying, I could hear one rhythm saying, we are one family that serves the young child that comes into our parlor, our school, or our care, under our care. And collectively, we should work to give the best to them. Thank you so much. I know this was a long, concluding dialogue, but there were fireworks in my mind as I was hearing everybody. And bottom line is fearlessness and convergence, and we will reach our outcomes. Thank you.
Thank you, Poonam ma'am. I am now going to open the question and answer session for the audience. And while we are getting those questions, I'm going to go around the table and request each one of the panelists to help me with a one-liner, just a quick one-liner that would explain what is your piece of advice for educators to transformative curriculum design that will support NEP compliance as on date. Can we start with Dr. Sundar? One-liner, please.
Positive thought process, aligning with the synchronization of the digital talk, whatever Poonam ma'am was saying, will be the era which is going to take forward for us. Thank you.
Thank you. That was lovely. Crisp and simple with a lot of positivity. Dr. Murugan, your one-liner, one piece of advice to educators, transforming the curriculum design, supporting NEP compliance.
You are given the future generation in your hand and deliver something which make them a productive person for society.
Great. Thank you so much. Skand Balisa, your piece of advice.
I would, it will not be an advice, but I would just like to share my views with everybody. I think as educational leaders, we need to be ahead of the curve. We are the ones who are looked up to by students, parents, colleagues, staff, faculty, everybody. So it's very important for educational leaders, as General Kulkarni also mentioned earlier, to anticipate things, to anticipate change, to anticipate the positivity which will bring about by any change. Whether it comes or not is not in your hands. The end goal is not in your hands, but journey is in your hands. So it's very important that we as educational leaders are ahead of the curve, look far behind, probably even behind the horizon, which is not visible to the naked eye, is something which educational leaders need to see. So we always need to stretch ourselves way beyond anybody's expectations.
I so agree with you. And I've seen the 100% stretch happening during COVID times. And I have never seen the kind of change we saw when things went online and nothing stopped. And schools were the first front runners, I feel, warriors, the teacher warriors that stretched themselves to make everything happen. Dr. Anupma ma'am?
Yes, here my message is that be child-centric in your classrooms. So that when the child leaves that school, he goes with head held high, not with pride, but with self-respect and dignity.
Beautifully said, ma'am. The parent in me is very, very happy to hear that. Trust me. uh, Saloni?
So it was, I think the context was curriculum. I would say that aligning curriculum with various learning needs and styles of students for measurable learning outcomes after a fair gap analysis, giving the required interventions so that the best can be given by an educator to the student. And yes, child centric approach. Yes, this is what we all should aim at.
Great. Thank you. Kulkarni, sir, your piece of advice?
Yeah, two bits. One, I echo what Skand said, so I won't repeat that. And the second is the teachers must get ready for tomorrow before they teach for today. Otherwise, because the kids they are teaching are going to tomorrow's world. So some basic documents which are published through international research, like the future skills report, the future jobs reports of various organizations, they must read them. Otherwise, there's a tendency to be, if you stay where you are, you're actually going backwards. Things are changing too fast in the world. So my advice is to the teachers, all the other things that were said, I agree with.
Thank you so much. And Poonam, would you want to give one line of advice?
Be fearless in adopting technology. Also, Kulkarni sir, I was thinking very deeply that perhaps how we train the teachers is still very old-fashioned. We have to excite them about their field that they can get skilled for. Also show them the way to self-skill themselves. Perhaps workshops to tell them where all they can get their own, and somewhere putting it as part of their review or rewards, etc., that they skill themselves to the latest requirements in pedagogy and best practices. Would be an interesting way to motivate a teacher to upskill herself. What do you think about that? Suppose their recommendations or internal discussions that are given to them. Suppose we also send them papers. Suppose you go somewhere and listen and you send it to them. They may not open it, but if we open it for a discussion in a staff meeting, may really help them change a way of thinking. I would love to hear your comments on that.
We do have questions coming up from the audience as well now. And this one question I would want to keep open for everyone. You're welcome to raise your hand, whoever wishes to take it. Apart from the routine tests and exams, what are the ways any school can take to measure the outcome of NEP 2020? This is open to everyone.
Can I go ahead?
Dr. Sundar? Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I did see the question raised by Mr. Bala, and I was very eager to give that part also to share the thoughts of what the other options which might be available. See, since for past 1 hour, we have been talking about project-based learning and the curriculum planning in which we can able to incorporate or test the students apart from our regular assessment. Assessment itself, it should not be part of one criteria or a judgment tool. Assessment is called as a tool for learning. So we have to evaluate ourselves in which part we can able to assess our children through various options which is available. Either it can be a project or it can be a problem solving question. It can be a critical analysis part which can be done. So if at all we want to go for report card purpose, yes, we are talking about assessment as only one part, but there are other means which we can able to go by assessing the student with the criteria in which they can able to do with project-based learning and the other assessment part which we can able to take care the student in confidence. The main motive for the assessment itself is to keep the students confident. We don't want kill the confidence level at the beginning by keeping the test and the mark itself. So project-based learning and presentation and giving them a blog writing. If a child is really good in English, can be put into blog writing part. So all these areas where the child can be more creative and innovative to bring in the other assessment tool into NEP also in mind. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you so much, Dr. Sundar.
it's good to measure the progress of a student versus the score of the student. Score can be through rote learning, but progress was always visible with the skills and competencies along with knowledge.
Great. Lovely. So that pretty much covers everything that we have received as questions. I do have one last question coming up. Okay. How the reduced syllabus copes up with professional entrance exams?
If you can direct, please, to one of the panelists.
Mr. Murugan, you have raised your hand. Please go ahead. These are open to everyone to add thoughts.
Yeah, that was a nice question, actually. This is, everybody wants to know that the syllabus is reduced, then how are we going to cope up with the entrance exams, like NEET, IIT, and CLAT and all. NCRT has reduced the syllabus, but the NTA has not reduced the syllabus. This is usually the students they say. Please remember, when you are preparing for something in the higher level, you are not going to refer only the book. Say, for example, if you are preparing for an IIT and you want to become an engineer of a great caliber, and you need to have a knowledge of all the subjects, I mean the depth. And please do not rely only on the reduced syllabus. Even the syllabus, which is the topic which are taken out, is not, it is totally taken out from the book, which was not taught in the junior classes. Say, for example, solid state is removed from a chemistry of class 12, but the question might come from that same chapter in maybe NEET and IIT or ISER or IAT exam. The solid chapter is removed only from the NCRT, but the concept of solid chapter in chemistry is already given in the junior classes itself. So I request the students or the teachers in particular, or one who asks this question, please be aware the syllabus of the competitive exam is not the syllabus which is taught in the classrooms. So you need to prepare all. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
I think same goes for periodic table, the chapter of periodic table being removed from the syllabus of class 9th. So I think a student has to start learning class 9th and 10th. A student has to start learning by learning periodic classification of elements. How do a student knows about the valency? How does a student remember the inert gases? What is the cause of reaction? That is so well explained with the help of periodic table. If I talk about inert gases, they do not react and everyone wants to be stable. Every element wants to be stable. And that is why the covalency happens or electrovalency happens. So this is, I think these are integral chapters which can never be a reduced syllabus. And a student has to have a knowledge and learning of these chapters apart from what is there in the book. So
But
we cannot escape these. Yeah.
In fact, it's not a deleted portion. It is the portion which got repeated, so they reduced it. For example, the knowledge chapter also there in physics.
Yeah.
So the children, many of them, they think that it is a deleted portion in chemistry. I'll not read it. You may not read it in chemistry, but the same solid state physics, it is that. So it should not be taken for granted that no, it is deleted. I will not.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
Great. Thank you so much for all the lovely time to each one of our esteemed panelists here today. We have been able to summarize in many ways how holistic development and going beyond the classroom is pretty much possible with NEP implementation, the practical implementation and challenges that are leading to the transformation and the vision that is coming into action, the flexibility that is required across various areas of delivery to make things work, and how technology can scale all efforts at every end for every stakeholder. Thank you so much for all of our to all our panelists. I'm really grateful for all of you to be sharing your thoughts. And to all our participants, please don't be discouraged if we haven't addressed any of your queries. We will keep in mind and get back to you. We look forward to seeing you all soon, and we hope to see you all again and again.
Thank you.
With series.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
for
so
your
much.
time.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
So much.
Please,
Thank you, Kusum. Thank you, everybody.
please do share your feedback for the session in the chat, which is open. The attendees who have participated will also receive a certificate for participation from our side. Stay tuned to our website, www.extramarks.com/em Elevate, for recordings of this webinar and details on the upcoming sessions. Have a lovely day to all.